Okay, my friends, here it is. In this video, I'm going to explain to you the fact that there is no such thing as weeds. Now, watch to the end, and this is going to possibly change your perspective on a common gardening misconception, okay? So first I'm going to explain a little bit about what is a weed, and then we're going to go outside and I'm going to show you exactly what to do with the things formerly known as weeds, okay? So, using this enormous dictionary, thank you, Jenny, we are going to look. Weed, any plant that is useless or troublesome. That's the dictionary definition of weed, okay? So, if we look at it from a more natural standpoint, we will see it this way. Now, what is a weed really? If in nature there is hardly ever any open ground, except like a desert or something, but nature always wants a living root in the ground, because contrary to popular belief, it is only a living root being in the ground that nourishes the community of microorganisms in the soil and builds the soil. The only way to build soil is through having a living root in the ground, because the root is capturing the sunlight that is shining, blaring in my face. That's why I have my hat on. The root is capturing sunlight and then combining all of the elements, the air, the earth, the minerals in the earth, the moisture. It's combining it to create sugars that feed the microorganisms in the soil. Okay? So listen. If there were to be a comet or something hit, or a landslide, or even man, if it bulldozes, let's just say, for example, you bulldozed a huge strip. There's a forest here, and you bulldoze half the forest like that. So it's just bare earth. Now, what would happen? Nature has developed the capability to heal that wound. And how does it do that? The wound that we have created. It does that by first sending in the weeds, things that we call the weeds. And the weeds have been designed to have a very deep root system. That's why they're so difficult to kill and to get rid of. So the weeds are the very first thing to sprout. Anyone that has ever cleared land knows that. So the weeds sprout, and their roots go deep into the earth and mine minerals. And they bring up high concentrations of minerals. And it holds them in the plant tissue for the life cycle of the weed. And then when it dies, it falls to the surface and decomposes. Now, after a few seasons of that, mining the nutrients and dying, it creates, nature's perfection system, creates a very fertile layer at the top of the soil. That will then make the way for perennial shrubs and things will grow next, because the soils become fertile enough and there's mulch on top of the soil because of the past years of the dead weeds. And then after some years of the perennial shrubs and stuff, then the soil will be alive enough and full of enough microorganisms and life and activity that then the full-size trees can come in. And after some time, of course, from the human perspective, a long time, that strip that we bulldozed will become exactly thriving forest once again. But it does that because it requires the weeds to be there. Weeds are nature's band-aid. Anywhere that there's a scar on the earth, immediately weeds start growing to replenish the topsoil. Okay? So they're actually something very valuable. And with this understanding that they are nature's band-aid, that they are a powerhouse of plant nutrition and vitamins and minerals, we can use this to our advantage in the garden. So let me take you out and show you how to use the things formerly called weeds to our advantage. Okay, now it is June 24th and things are just starting to get going in the garden. Now, I want to be very clear here. The plants that we grow for food, the vegetable plants, do not have competitive capabilities for the most part, because we as humans have taken them outside of their natural environment, and we have selectively bred them for so many years to suit our culinary needs that they no longer have the properties that make them vibrant and competitive, and they're in an environment that is not their natural one. So there's no way that they can compete with the weeds that are native to this exact location. So for that reason, you have to make a distinction between the things that were formerly known as weeds, the ones that are really fast, aggressive growing, and the ones that are more benign. For example, here next to the onion plants, we have a very aggressive grass. Grasses have a fast-growing, aggressive root system. We do not want those to compete for the limited amount of moisture and nutrients that is in the soil. So we pull the ones that are directly around the plants themselves, because we just can't be having that, because the onions are not going to grow that aggressively. But plants like this coriander, this volunteer from last year, cilantro turned into coriander, we leave because it's benign and it's a living root in the ground. Now, a really good one is dandelions. You see here, this dandelion is not hurting anything. It is shading out the soil, keeping the roots of the peas nice and cool, even though it's 100 degrees outside and blazing sun. So dandelions and purslane, we leave those. Now, we are going to use the things formerly known as weeds as a beautiful golden liquid fertilizer. So go through the garden and pull only the plants that are in direct competition with the vegetable plants, meaning like right up on them. Because the rest we just leave because it's a living root in the ground building soil. But things like dandelions, thistles, purslane, very rich in minerals. Okay, because they've got a vibrant root system and they're designed by nature to be rich in minerals. So pull all the plants formerly known as weeds and put them into the bucket. Now the next step is very important. You want to use some of your best finished compost or the leaf mold, like from the JADAM fertilizers. But my leaf mold I actually make with tons of deciduous leaves and all kinds of microorganisms. So it's really kind of one and the same. But you add 2 or 3 big handfuls of this nice, rich compost or leaf mold that is bursting with microorganisms. Once you have the plant material in there and the compost or leaf mold in, you then fill the bucket the remaining of the way with preferably rainwater, but also tap water will work. Give it a good stir so that everything is nice and mixed up, and then you simply place a lid on top. This is very important. You want to put the lid on top for this process to work. Now it's very important that you leave it in the sun for about a week. Here we are about a week later after it's left in the sun, and you can see that it is pretty much totally decomposed. I might have stirred it once or twice throughout that time period, but you see it's turned into like pond scum. And this is really, really rich and beneficial for the plants, okay? So people ask me, well, shouldn't I put it in the shade, or aren't the microbes gonna die in the sun? Absolutely not, my friends. There's a direct correlation between the speed and voraciousness that the microbes digest and temperature. So leave it directly in the sun. That's going to cultivate really strong, powerful microbes that is going to help supercharge your plants. Now this is ready to use, and once we use it, we can refill it full of water once or even 2 or 3 more times like that. So there you have it, my friends. This is a very nutrient-rich, vitamin and mineral and microorganism-rich fertilizer for the plants. So in this way, there are no weeds anymore because they're not unwanted and obnoxious, okay? They are a very valuable source of plant nutrition. Now, you want to dilute this stuff, okay? So 1 to 10. This is a standard 2.5 gallon watering can. So 1 liter, it's about 10 liters. So 1 of these in here, fill the rest of the way with water. Water the plants once to twice a week, even 3 times if they're starting to look yellow and stuff like that, okay? So let me know what you think. Let me know your experience in the comments, and big thank you to everyone using the link in the description to make a small financial contribution to my PayPal account. That helps inspire me to keep making these videos and sharing this knowledge. So thank you.